गजाननं भूतगणादिसेवितं कपित्तजम्बूफलसारभक्षितम् उमासुतं शोकविनाशकारणं नमामि विघ्नेश्वरपादपङ्कजम्। चतुर्मुखसमारम्भां वाग्भटाचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। गुरुगणेशाभ्यां नमः। So namaste all. So finally you get to enjoy summer for few hours. Almost there, you're almost there, not yet fully there. Very close to enjoying summer, I believe. I think most of you were there yesterday. Is there anyone joining for the first time? Okay, fine. You must be knowing we were busting certain myths that were common, that are still common. We were listing out certain myths and giving you some overview. This was the whole discussion yesterday. We were giving you some insights or inputs about the common myths and how do we consolidate, how do we come into terms with the understanding of Ayurveda was the approach. That was the core topic, actually speaking, and that continues today as well. I had mentioned something. It's not about what I mentioned yesterday. I'm just repeating so that people who are joining new will also understand. It's not about giving you another information, because you already have 99 informations with you from Instagram, from WhatsApp, from Facebook, from Googling, from researching ChatGPT. It is all given. You already are loaded with information that I should do this, I should not do this, this is the good practice, this is correct, this is wrong. If I'm going to tell you all this is wrong, this is correct, you are already confused with 99. I don't want to add 100th confusion to you. So the intention is not to give you some information. This is right. All that you know is wrong is not the idea. But to tell you that this is wrong and this is the reason and logic behind this being wrong, or in other terms, giving you or sharing you the wisdom behind this message. Where do I give this from? Is it my own theories or ideologies? No, it is directly from the Shastra. Shastra are the authentic books, authentic texts. You must be knowing what would be the language of these texts, these authentic texts, what we call as Shastras, Pramanas. What would be the language in which we would be studying this? Any idea? Sanskrit. For this matter of fact, I was in the interview with NDTV also, I was mentioning the same thing. The greatest thing for us is every Indian knowledge system, or Bharatiya Vijnana, Bharatiya Jnana, the Indian knowledge systems, it can be any form of knowledge or any art form. Bharatanatyam, music, Sangeeta Shastra, Natya Shastra, Vimana Shastra. You take any Shastra, the language is the same. It is based upon the same foundational principles. So to do cross connections, it is easy. From astrology, you can jump to Ayurveda. From Ayurveda, you can jump to yoga. From yoga, you can jump to music. From music, you can jump to Natya Shastra. From there, you can go to martial arts. Or you can do a mix of everything. But without crossovers, without contradictions, provided you are following the same foundational principles. But that is not happening in the current age, because we have fragmented everything. We are in an age where we claim that this asana is good for back, this asana is good for hypertension, this herb is good for this disease, this food is good for this disease, this food is bad for this disease. This is the fragmentation, unfortunately. Because of this fragmentation, the whole Shastra is destroyed. This fragmentation is helpful in many ways, because your grasping becomes easy. When we fragment things, it is very easy. If someone tells you that this asana is good for this problem, it is very easy to remember, understand, do. But are you getting the whole sense of it? No. So this fragmentation basically is not an ideal thing. So this fragmentation happened to Ayurveda or any other Shastras. And so nowadays we are unable to do this cross connections. In those days, Ayurveda people will be an expert of yoga, expert of astrology, expert of that. They'll be experts of so many things because the baseline is same. Now we don't have this baseline. And this fragmentation has gone to the extent that we try and do fragment anything and everything. The same happens to our food too. I was mentioning because of this fragmentation, we are now fragmenting, or we have already fragmented our food into proteins, carbohydrates, fats, minerals. We don't see food as food anymore. We see the food as components. We see the food as nutritional value. We don't enjoy the food as food. We don't see food in its whole sense, which is the biggest problem. And the interviewer was asking, can you list out the 3 fats? I was telling you the question is wrong. You will have to rephrase your question. What are the current 3 fats? Last year the 3 fats were different. The 3 misconceptions were different. This year the 3 misconceptions are different. Next year when I come, there will be a new theory which I have to talk. Do you agree with me? I gave you an example of this intermittent fasting and 7 meals a day. Today I am going to talk about intermittent fasting. There are a lot of questions about this too. People ask, intermittent fasting is equal to Ayurveda. Is that right or wrong? No, it is wrong. 5 years ago or 7 years ago, when people were eating 8 meals a day, 7 meals a day, we used to tell, no, this is wrong. Ayurveda suggests only 2 meals a day. Thanks to Yoshinori for his Nobel Prize, now we are all following, all are like 16:8. Fasting, intermittent fasting, 2 meals a day. All that we are, this is the peppy culture now. But everyone following this without any basic principles, basic understanding, everyone might not benefit. Maybe 30%, 40% or even 50% people might benefit. 20% might initially get benefited, but they might suffer. So to get a complete benefit of it, it is not just about taking some ideology and practicing it without knowing anything. You should know something, some baseline. That was my, even yesterday I was mentioning, for those of you who are here, the whole intention of this 3-day session is to create a baseline, or at least to give you a drone shot or a bird's eye view of what this baseline is. And rest with that baseline, if you at least get a little hang of this baseline, you can develop your own, or you might be taken to a different level. Your interest can help you to develop that baseline in a better way so that you can build the foundation is done, then you can build upon, and you can do things better with your dieting or your eating habits. One more thing I mentioned yesterday is that at least these 3 days, now you might have 99 options in front of you. Keto diet, paleo diet, GM diet, you have hundreds of options in front of you. How do you choose now? From your heart, if I ask you, I think this is good for me. It's a random choice. Do you have any thought process behind why am I choosing this type of food? Why am I choosing this type of a dieting practice? Do you have any idea or theory behind your choice? Everyone are doing this, maybe I'm doing this. Everyone are following, my friend followed this, got a benefit. He was really good after following this, so I'm following this. Correct or not? Now you have 10 choices, you have 10 available options, you make a random choice. I'm telling at least if you can make an informed choice. I'm not going to give you a 11th choice, do this, no. At least if you can make an informed choice with the 10 options you have, it's a win-win. That's the whole intention. Okay? So yesterday we were mentioning about this protein. We were talking, there is a huge push for this protein. We were discussing about the industries that are backing this protein business. There is an animal industry, a supplement industry, there is an egg industry, there is a pharmaceutical industry. Because you get sick, you need a pharmaceutical industry also backing you up. So each industry can dictate governments, all these industries together. There is a big push and a promotion for protein because it's a business. You cannot sell carrots and beetroots. You cannot, protein sells. It's a business. Correct or not? I was also mentioning that we are looking protein rich food, I need this amount of protein, etc. There was also a question from one of the audience that I am at my late 40s, menopause, I'm a woman, so I specially need proteins. So how does Ayurveda talk about it? In the first place, I'm telling there is nothing called protein. You need not go behind proteins. Every substance has everything. I was talking about giving an example of Panchamahabhutas. So what does, you take any food substance that you eat or any raw ingredient, it has everything because that is made up of Panchamahabhutas. It has everything. People tell rice only has carbohydrates. No, rice has everything. Maybe predominant with carbohydrates. The point that we are seeing rice as carbohydrates, dal as proteins, and chicken and meat as proteins is the biggest problem. As I told you, we are fragmented. We are fragmenting. Once you fragment, you lose the holism, then you are lost. That's the biggest point. But it's not easy for you. I might tell and go, don't fragment, see it as a whole. You are not convinced. So at least if I can convince you today with certain examples, simple, logical examples, it would be great is what I felt. So primarily, I'm going to give you a few examples to, in continuation with this concept of protein misconceptions, one. Number two, I'm planning to discuss about this intermittent fasting. What is the correct way in seeing intermittent fasting? How to make this intermittent fasting into a beneficial practice? What does Ayurveda say about intermittent fasting? Yes, Ayurveda acknowledges intermittent fasting. I agree to that. But intermittent fasting is not an Ayurveda practice. But you can make that practice more Ayurvedic by understanding certain small aspects, small nuances of Ayurveda. That's the two main topics. If possible, we'll be discussing about this processed foods. There is again a misconception about processed food. Yesterday I was doing some survey about certain things. Everyone in the room gave an incorrect answer. Okay? Maybe now let me ask a question. How many of you believe processed food is bad? How many of you believe processed food is good? Good? What way? Okay. Fermented food is processed. Again, fermented food. You see? She supports fermented food. 8 years ago, you would not have supported fermented food because the world was telling fermented food is the worst thing to consume. We in India, idli and dosa, we cannot survive without idli and dosa. It's a fermented food. People were criticizing idli and dosa because it was fermented. Only because of this fermentation, this idli and dosa is beneficial. It has been rated as one of the top breakfasts available in the world. At least it comes in the list of 10 best breakfasts. We used to tell them that, no, we cannot just tell that fermentation is bad. No, 8 years ago, fermentation was bad. Now, you try to ferment anything and everything possible. That's how it is. I was mentioning the life cycle of this theories is 5 years to 10 years. In 10 years, they are going to talk completely opposite of what they were talking before. Same was the case with fats. Correct? Coconut oil, ghee will block your hearts. 2010 to 2015, no one will touch coconut oil and ghee. Now everyone will drink coconut oil and ghee as a first thing in the morning because it is healthy for the heart. What was blocking your heart 15 years ago is helping your heart now. So that is how it is. So that's a big different story. Coming to this protein, I would like to bring your attention to certain natural elements, or maybe to start with, I'm coming from South India, Tamil Nadu, bordering Kerala and Tamil Nadu. I think there are people who have visited us also. Hi. Elephants are very common in our place. In the last 2 months, every single night, elephants are intruding, pulling off trees, and so many things are happening. So, I'm coming from a land of elephants. Our place is called as Anaikatti, which is an elephant land of elephants. So, I'm coming from a land of elephants. So, I'm using elephant as an example. You know the size of elephant? I think all of you would have seen elephant at some point in time. Have you? Yes. Okay. You know the size of the elephant, the bulk of the elephant, the musculature of the elephant. I've not seen, maybe I would have seen 100, 200 or even 300, 500 elephants, including the elephants that we see in temples. I've never seen an elephant lean. Never. Always bulky, heavy animal. It's a really heavy animal. And elephant is a vegetarian. And where does elephant get its protein from? For this amount of musculature that the elephant has, now we are concerned about protein for our musculature. Muscles will get depleted without protein. So you need animal fat. So you need protein rich food. You need tofu. You need paneer. You need dal, that, this. I am a female. Female elephant doesn't take anything different. Female elephant also takes the same food as a male elephant. Female elephant doesn't need a separate nutritional value. Do you know what elephant eats? Anyone knows? Do you know that elephant is a pure vegetarian animal? Yeah, it's a pure vegetarian animal. It just eats trees, branches, fruits, leaves. That's it. Nothing else. And such a huge animal, if it can get its whole nutritional value from these trees and branches, can't we get our nutritional value, including the protein, from a simple food? Is this making sense to you? Same is the case with cows. Cows are pure vegetarian animal, and it eats just leaves. It just grazes on grass. They eat only creepers. They don't eat any other leaves. They don't eat tree leaves. There are only very few tree leaves that cow survives on. Rest, it is always creepers. Very few tree leaves it can eat. And that's also a massive animal. It gets all its nutritional benefit from those things. Same is the case with almost all the meat that people consume. Deer's meat, cow's meat, then what? Maybe pork. They're all animals surviving on vegetarian food, herbivorous animals, and we survive with those meat. So we are claiming that we get so much amount of protein from that meat, and those animals are getting protein from this grass and leaves. Is this making sense? So with this point, I would also make a cross reference in South India, in our place, or you take any hard working community where rice is predominant. You know what will be the primary food that people will consume? Working class community who go and work outdoors, work in the field. Their first meal of the day will be the old rice from the previous night. Old rice with a piece of shallot or with a piece of a pickle. They will pack, they will take it, they'll go to work at 6 in the morning. They will consume it at around 11 o'clock, intermittent fasting. They'll consume it at around 11 o'clock. Old rice from the previous night. This old rice is beautifully bottled nowadays. We see bottles of this nicely packaged. I see it in the US. In supermarkets, in Costco supermarket, you have this bottled old rice for $7. And why is this so famous now? I remember eating this old rice for summer as a child. I think all this rice eating community you must be knowing. Summer, it's a wonderful thing. Morning we wake up, we eat the rice of the previous night. Just water added to the previous night. It slightly ferments. We add buttermilk into it, drink it as breakfast in summers. And now there is a big push because they tell it is slightly fermented. So fermentation has motivated people to use this, what you call, to come and benefit from this old rice. So they consume this old rice at 11 o'clock, and the next meal will be after when they finish their work and go home at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock. They'll prepare rice, and if possible, if their finances permit, there might be some vegetables. If not, this idli, dosa, her thali, her thali that we see, rice with vegetables and something else. Rice with vegetables and sambar and dal, etc. is a festive food. Idli, dosa, etc. is a festive food for people who are in the fields, working in the fields. So they were surviving only on rice and a piece of pickle in the morning and freshly cooked rice. If possible, some vegetables. If not, rice and dal, or just rice again pickle. So if one can survive just with rice in the morning, rice in the evening, you can get all nutritional benefits, provided, yesterday's conclusion, you are able to metabolize the rice completely. The concern is not about what you feed into the system. The point is about how are you assimilating and metabolizing it. I gave a simple equation kind of an explanation yesterday. What we consume is A. This A is expected to be converted into B, which is our nutritional requirements. We consume food A, we are expecting B to be the product of this metabolization and transformation, which is good B12 levels, good protein levels, good iron levels, good calcium levels, good D3 levels, good energy, etc. But what happens nowadays? I think all of you here will agree with me that we have all that we require in our body, we are deficient of. Correct or not? Protein deficiency, D3 deficiency, B12 deficiency, zinc deficiency, iron deficiency, ferritin deficiency. You all agree with me? We are all deficient of what we actually require. And we are abundant with whatever that we don't require. Excessive cholesterol, excessive triglycerides, excessive fat, excessive uric acid. You agree with me? So, there is something logically wrong. We are taking food. We are supposed to have good nourishment, but we are deficient of, and we are popping up supplements for all these deficiencies. At the same time, we are abundant with certain things which are not supposed to be more in the body, and we are popping pills to reduce that. Something is seriously wrong, something is logically wrong. Because instead of A being metabolized into B, A is getting metabolized into C. As a result of it, we are deficient of B. This unwanted C is in excess. So what is the problem? What is the focus here? Do you understand what is the logical gap? What is the problem here? Can you guess? Why is A not getting metabolized into B? Why is it that A gets metabolized into C? What is the reason? Any guess? Digestion. You are not digesting A properly. If you would digest A properly, it would be transformed into B, which is all your nutrients that you require. This person, I'm talking about this villager who works in the field from morning till evening, has an amazing digestive ability so that he could get everything from this rice. All required nutrients from this rice alone. But we, our breakfast, oats with granola, with nuts, with yogurt, with coconut milk, coconut oil, ghee, fruits, almonds, and something else. Yogurt. And we have so many things put into it. Why are we putting everything into it? Why? We want all the nutrients. Do you believe these nutrients are going to be converted and you are going to benefit from all the nutrients that you put into your breakfast bowl? Do you believe so? Do you believe? You believe, but it's not. Is it happening? It is not happening. So what is the gap? You are unable to assimilate whatever that goes in. So how do we make this equation right? Correct? Do you think it's a rocket science to get this equation right? It's very simple. To get this equation right, to get the complete benefit of all my food that I consume, I should follow some simple tenets, simple rules in eating. Okay? If we can list out at least 10 simple rules in eating, not just listing out, it is not just about information, understanding or getting this wisdom about these 10 simple things. If you can follow with conviction, you might not see an immediate boost or an immediate benefit, but gradually your equation might get right. Instead of A to C, you might see A to B. This is a benefit. I would call it as a byproduct. This benefit becomes a byproduct. You don't see immediately after changing my diet practice from tomorrow, I want a result. No, that cannot happen. You're just regularizing. I would tell this elephant that eats just trees, leaves, branches and fruits, if it can get all the nutrients required for such a big physical body musculature, that is possible because it is able to digest and assimilate everything right. That is why in Ayurveda, we give such a lot of emphasis for this factor called Agni. Agni is the digestive fire, and we are fortunately in a fire tent. This Agni has such a significance in Ayurveda. There was a discussion, Charaka Samhita is a book. Charaka Samhita is always a debate between a student and a teacher. A lot of debates happen between a teacher and a student. Charaka describes so much about this general medicine, treatment of this physical body, various diseases, pathologies, so much of discussion happens. After that, the students asks, can you just give me a summary of what this Kaya Chikitsa is all about? Can you give me a one-liner what this Kaya Chikitsa is all about? What is this treatment of this human body? How do we treat these diseases? What is this line of principle of treatment of this human body? Charaka explains, Kayasya antaragnehe chikitsa Kaya Chikitsa. Kayasya, this body is antaragnehe, the internal Agni. If you are making this Agni, the fire factor, the fire element appropriate, the treatment is done. So your aim of treatment, I'm talking about treatment, is from disease to normalcy. From disease to normalcy, the correction is the Agni. So Agni is an important thing. Left, right and center, we do blunders with this Agni in our day-to-day basis. So can we understand certain simple things? We need not actually support Agni. Agni is something that doesn't need a support. You leave it undisturbed. Don't extinguish the Agni. You are not expected to take ginger and that and this to blow up the Agni. Agni will support itself. You have to just leave it undisturbed. You should not extinguish this factor Agni or the fire element. But unfortunately, everything or most of the things that we do as a diet fad or a diet practice is extinguishing the Agni. I can give you a list of things. And you might be telling he's talking rubbish. You will have a feel that yes, you might have a feel that I'm talking rubbish. But I'm not giving my theories out. I'm bringing out the theories of the Shastra, which is validated, which is documented 5,000 years ago, which is Ayurveda, which can have cross connections. You can do crossovers with anything. Any Indian knowledge systems can have crossovers, as I mentioned. One simple example, Virutakam. Virutakam is sprouts. Okay? If I ask you what is your thought process about sprout, you will tell sprouts are very good. Sprouts are rich in proteins, correct? I will also tell the same thing. Sprouts are so rich in nutrients to the extent that you are not able to digest it properly. You get my point? It's too rich in nutrients to the extent of not being able to digest it properly. So A is not going to be formed into B, rather A is going to be converted into C. Do you notice that on days of taking this sprouted dals, you have more flatulence, more burps, more bloating in your stomach? Do you notice it regularly? Definitely you would have noticed it, right? Especially if you go little overboard, if you take little excess, you'll definitely notice a bloating. So these are indications that tell you that yes, something is not wrong. But you cannot avoid your proteins, protein-rich sprouts. Correct or not? So, going with this processed food, if I ask you the question, is processed food bad or processed food good? Every one of you will tell that, at least 99% of you except 1% told that, yes, processed food is bad. But I'll be telling, no, processed food is good. Processed food is good because we don't have an understanding of what is processing. Our baseline understanding of what is processing is missing. Do you agree with me? You do not agree now. What does Shastra talk about processing? Samskaro hi guna antaradanam uchyate. Samskara, processing, is something that can add on value to the substance. Guna antaradanam. Guna is property. Antaradanam is it enhances the property of a substance. Is samskara. So what are all the common samskaras or common processing? Cooking is a processing. Correct? Cooking is a basic processing. If you eat raw rice, you cannot digest it. When you cook it, you can digest it. You cannot eat raw banana. You will get constipated. You will not evacuate for 2 days if you eat raw banana. But a ripe banana will help you in constipation. It helps you to relieve food. How? Cooking. Nature has done the cooking of converting this raw banana to a ripe banana, where the astringent taste of the raw banana is converted to a sweet taste of ripe banana. Fruits need not be cooked because nature has done the cooking already. If not, cooking is a process that enhances or it makes the food little more digestible. She was mentioning fermentation is a processing. Yes. Boiled water is a processing. Anything that you do is, for example, yesterday I was mentioning about old rice and old wheat, correct? What is this old rice and old wheat? Did we talk about old rice, old wheat now in this session? Yesterday, okay. I was talking to this interviewers. What is old rice and old wheat? It is also a form of processing. The processing is as simple as just keeping it for 1 year and consuming it after 1 year. There are certain items that are to be, any South Indians in house except her? Any South Indians in house? Just 2 of you? We buy everything fresh, but we are particular about certain items to be old. Can you list out? Maybe I'll list it out. We'll go to the market and ask for old rice. We'll pay extra and buy old rice. 1. Tamarind. We will not use fresh tamarind. Fresh tamarind will be light brown in color, whereas old tamarind will be black in color. Almost jet black in color. We'll pay extra money to buy old tamarind. Dals. This mung dal, chana dal, all these dals. We don't purchase month by month as a tradition. We buy it for the whole year. We already have a stock at home. We buy it for the whole year. And this stock that we buy will be for the next year. It's always a yearly purchase. Dal is a yearly purchase. We make it old. So dals, jaggery. Next thing is jaggery. You noticed old jaggery will be slightly blackish in color. Fresh jaggery will be golden yellow or almost yellowish in color. We pay extra for old jaggery. There are certain things that are beneficial when they are old. There are certain things that are beneficial when they are fresh. One more, I remember, I don't want to miss it out. Vegetables. All the vegetables should be mature when we consume, except one vegetable. It should not be matured when we buy. It should be tender. It is radish. Bala moolakam. Only with regard to radish, the Shastra mentions it has to be small, tender, not fully matured. But a common man would go to the market. I hope radish grows here. You see, you know radish, I believe. Yes. We go to, common man goes to a market, we buy everything fresh, fully mature. Similarly, they will buy radish also fully matured. But radish fully matured is not conducive. Bala Mulakam, which is a tender radish, can be consumed on a daily basis, no issues. But if you are going to consume a fully mature radish on a daily basis, you might have all these troubles. So there are always exceptions. Exceptions of this old new. So processing is as simple as making a substance old. Boiling water is a processing. Cooking rice is a processing. Boiling milk is a processing. Boiling milk, again, milk is a big topic. Milk is a totally big topic. Can we consume milk? Again, vegan is another topic that we'll have to discuss. We need one day to discuss. In the name of being vegan, people are ending up into completely ultra processed diet practice. Processing is fine. This ultra processing is the problem. I don't eat milk products, and hence I eat all gimmicks or all substitutes. Instead of paneer, I eat tofu. I take almond milk coffee. You have substitutes for all that you need in a different form. To achieve this form, it undergoes a complete set of ultra processing. So processing is not harmful. Ultra processing is harmful. So, but we have generalized processing as something bad. If I ask you about sugars or any substance per se, if I give you an example and ask you, is it good or bad? The answer will be, no, this is bad. Why is it bad? Because it is processed. Let us try to have a line of demarcation between what is processed and what is ultra processed. This is one thing. It's not again a rocket science, a very simple thing that we can do. Agree? Doable? Fine. Coming to this intermittent fasting. As I told you now, because of this Yoshinori's theory of autophagia for the last 7 years, all of us are behind this intermittent fasting. Is it correct or not? How many of you agree or acknowledge this intermittent fasting? And all of you who have raised your hands, do you agree that you again raise your hands if you were following or if you have heard about this small frequent meals 8 years before? You would have been, how many of you can raise? You were following the same patterns 8 meals, 7 meals, 6, 7 years, 8 years before, to be more precise. The same nutritionist who suggested you to take 7 meals or 8 meals a day is now suggesting you to take 2 meals a day, if possible 1 meal a day. How correct is this practice is a big question. Intermittent fasting is focusing on your clock, correct? The intermittent fasting is not focusing on your Agni, it is focusing on the clock. How do we make this intermittent fasting beneficial? How do we add value to this intermittent fasting? If we can make some small tweaks, if we have some checkpoints, what to do, what not to do, all of us can make benefit from intermittent fasting. But with that small adjustments, you might not be tagged as a person who does intermittent fasting, because intermittent fasting is primarily 16:8, correct? 16 hours of gap between your dinner and the next breakfast, and 8 hours of gap between your breakfast and dinner. This 16:8 is the pattern. If you want to do intermittent fasting correctly, it might not be 16:8 always. It can be 14:10. It can be 6:18. It can vary. And this variation can depend from person to person. This variation can change from season to season. this variation can change from location to location. So it seems to be a difficult matter, right? How do I know that I have to do 16:8? How do I know I have to do 10 is to whatever this proportions? How do I understand this gap? It is not a very big thing. Actually, it is very simple. The focus should be on something called hunger. Very simple. Only thing you'll have to notice is how hungry you are. If you can achieve if you can understand this, you can do this better. But unfortunately, there are people who have asked. We have some questions as when we deal with patients for treatments. Assessment of hunger is an important factor for us, because as I told you, the importance of Agni is so important. When we ask them, how's your hunger? How hungry you are? We have heard answers that I don't know what hunger is. There can be people who even tell that I don't know what hunger is. When do you eat? I eat at 1 o'clock. Are you hungry at 1 o'clock? I don't know. When food is in front of me, maybe looking at the food, I get hungry, I eat. Correct? Maybe some of you might be embarrassed to accept. If you are not embarrassed to accept this, are there someone who can tell that, yes, I am not hungry, it's time, I am eating? Is there someone who can accept? Yes. I told, let us not support Agni, but at least let us not extinguish Agni was my first point. The first step of doing this is waiting for a hunger, eating with hunger. This theory of autophagia is talking about starvation. Starving. Starving is the moment where this destruction of new cells happens. These new cells get recycled to support the production of the destroyed cells, support the new cells to rejuvenate. I hope you would have understood this autophagia. Health freaks, they would have gone into this understanding of autophagia and things like that. So it talks about starvation. But actually speaking, starvation is something that is not advised in Ayurveda at all. When we do fasting, we are not abstaining from food. Instead, we are reducing the quality of food. The quality of the food, the property of the food is downscaled. That is called as fasting. Whatever type of fasting we do, for example, we will be fasting on fruits. Ekadashi fasting, we will be reducing avoiding so many things, sticking to only small items. Roots are avoided, that is grain is avoided, only few eligible substances are used, possible to be consumed. So Ekadashi fasting is not about abstaining from food, it's about reducing the quality of food. So starvation is not a solution from an Ayurveda point of view. Unfortunately, what happens is, the Shastra explains that when you are starving, when you are excessively hungry, you are producing a factor called ama. Ama is the biggest, I cannot translate ama, I cannot tell what is ama. Ama is often correlated or often explained as digestive toxins. Maybe I should use the same terminology, digestive toxins. This ama is the biggest problem in this transformation. I was talking about the factors that can extinguish this fire, that can disturb this digestive ability. Why are you not able to translate this A to B because of ama? Ama can be a challenge. What are the common signs of ama? If you notice, common signs of ama, you will have sluggishness. You are feeling sleepy during the day. You are fresh in the evening. During the day, with a simple, after the food, you are forced to lie down, sleep. After the food, you are extremely tired. You have always something stuck in your throat. You need to clear up your throat. These are all common signs. Puffiness around your eyes, puffiness in your legs. These are all common signs of ama. Digestion, you are not hungry. You are not hungry for every meal time. Your hunger is erratic. There can be so many signs. When you are starving, when you are excessively hungry, it is a causative factor of ama, 1. Number 2, after the starvation, if you are consuming the most beneficial or most healthy food, Amrita, nectar directly from Lord Dhanvantari, if you take nectar and eat, even then you will not be digesting it or assimilating it well. But the challenge of intermittent fasting is that people are watching the clock. I need to wait for 14 hours, 16 hours. I'm already hungry at the 10th hour, but I will hold on. I'll be hungry, but no problem. No matter what, I'll hold on for 14 hours and then eat. There are two damages. One, the starvation itself is a damage that produces ama. Then whatever you are going to eat next is not going to be assimilated properly. That's going to backfire. That is going to produce further ama. So you get trapped in this cycle. But fortunately, with this reduced food, you might feel healthy in the earlier days. But later days, you will feel this depletion of energy, slightly anemic, and all this can happen. Then you will attribute there is less protein in my food. You will blame something else. You will not understand the core. Instead, we will be blaming something else. Some people who do the 16:8, especially those who have very weak digestive system, might not be hungry, might not be starving. They will be feeling fantastic, excellent. So now current scenario is that it's a chance. You start doing intermittent fasting. If it works, it works. If it doesn't work, switch. You have 100 options left. You have 100 dieting practice. You can switch to keto, you can switch to paleo, you can switch to GM. If this works, you try. If not, you switch to next thing. That's not the way. That's not the way. If the engine is not working, they are not fixing random equipments. You can drive and see if it works, it works. No, we are not doing it. It has to be done in an appropriate way. So if you can have hunger as a key, then that is the way in which you can get benefit from intermittent fasting. The crux of it is be hungry and then eat. Even if you are not doing intermittent fasting, if you are doing a 3 meal a day plan, are you hungry for every meal? Are you hungry for breakfast, hungry for lunch, hungry for dinner? If you are not hungry for each meal, then you are an ideal candidate for intermittent fasting. Switch to this 2 meal a day. Try if you are hungry or not. Having hunger and eating the food, you will be relishing the food. But when you are excessively hungry, you will not relish, you will instead grab the food. So that's the difference. How to make out you are hungry or excessively hungry? If you are hungry, even a simple porridge will be tasty. If you are not hungry, you don't enjoy the food. If you are excessively hungry, you don't mind the taste. Everything just goes inside. Is this something that you can try to analyze in every meal? Am I hungry or not? As I told you, this is not a rocket science at all. Am I hungry or not? And having said this, what backfires many a times is that people try to randomly change their food timings. I usually have my breakfast at 8 o'clock. I'm still not hungry. So I have my breakfast at 12. Then I'm not hungry for lunch. I'm having my lunch at 4. Then I'm not properly, I've taken food at an untimed food. Then I'm not hungry for dinner. I sleep. Middle of the night, I wake up with hunger. So you kind of destroy. It's a catastrophe actually. In the name, as you will blame me. That person from India came and told I should be hungry. So I'm not hungry, I'm not eating. You change the whole clock. It is not the advice. You keep up your timing. You try to be hungry at that particular timing. So how do I achieve this? So as I told you, it is not compartmentalized things. You try to bring in multiple things together. You join multiple dots and you can get a benefit. And to connect these dots, some simple ideologies or simple practice to connect these dots and try to achieve this hunger at every meal, and also not changing this food timings randomly. There are certain common things that we can do. One, about water. Water is again a biggest myth. If I ask in this room, in this house, if I ask, should we drink water before food? There will be 10-15 hands that raises. Yes, we should drink water before food. If I ask, is it healthy to drink water after food? 10-15 hands will raise, yes, water after food is good. If I ask water with food is good or not, again we will have 10-15 hands. There will also be left out people who will tell 2 hours before I will drink, 2 hours after I will not drink. You have all permutations and combinations with water, correct? Simple thing, hunger, thirst. How much we are messing up. You just realize, hunger, eating with hunger, we are not doing it appropriately. Drinking with thirst, we are not doing appropriately. So simple things that we are not doing appropriately. Drinking water with food, there are hundreds of theories. How much of food that I should consume? Hundreds of theories. But what is, and every theory is self-contradictory. So what is the reality, and when should one drink water, how much of water one can drink, etc., is something that we have to understand. This is what is called as connection of dots. When we connect multiple dots together, we can achieve a point where you are hungry for every meal. If you are hungry for every meal, if you are consuming food, then I think you are not destroying your Agni, you are not extinguishing your Agni. Agni will take care. It will take charge and you will be better. Fine? Can we list out these points where we can connect these dots? It might be random. I'm going to cover multiple things, random things. But these are all the simple tips that can help you to come into one line or direction. It can bring you to a proper direction. With water, any guess what would be the correct way of drinking water with food? I'm talking about food, digestion, water. Sorry? 1 hour after the meal. What is the reason behind it? Any logic? Okay. So you don't, okay, fine. Yes. When you are thirsty, not before you are thirsty, when you are thirsty, you have the eligibility to drink water that is outside the meal. I am talking about with the meal. Okay, so you should not drink water during the meal. Okay. Any other views? Okay. 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 Fine. Okay. 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 Fine. Any other views? Okay. Warm water with food. Okay. Okay. So I need to connect two concepts together or to give you the consolidated wisdom. The two concept is one with the quantity of food and what is the role of water in this digestive process. Only when I connect these two things, I can give you a solid theory or a solid knowledge or a wisdom behind this. Okay. This logic of food diluting the digestive enzymes is not accepted. First I'll tell what does Ayurveda say about water. Bhojane chamrutam vari, bhojanante vishapradam. Bhojane. Anyone who knows Sanskrit here? No one. So I can bluff anything. Bhojane chamrutam vari. Bhojane is during the meal. Vari is water, is amrutam, is an elixir, it's a nectar with food. Bhojanante, anta, end. Bhojanante, end of the meal. Vishapradam, it is like visha. What is visha? Poison. So the literal meaning is, you drink water with food, it is a nectar. You drink water after food, it is a poison. This is the literally meaning. Don't take conclusions. let me explain and finish. This is literally meaning. You cannot take literary meanings. You need to understand the concept. One more theory in Ayurveda. Ayurveda explains that water before food, who should consume? Water during food, who should consume? Water after food, who should consume? In a different context. In this context, a person who wishes to reduce his weight can consume water before food. A person who wishes to gain weight can consume after food. A person who wishes to maintain weight can consume during food. This is a different context. You can see one small contradiction here. This side I told you water after food is poison. Next I am telling you water after food can increase your weight, can help you increase your weight. That is, if you are intending to put on weight, water after food is beneficial. So you feel it as a contradiction now. Let me clarify this within 2 minutes with the next point. How much should we eat? How much of food should one consume? Any idea? Yeah, there are theories that one should consume this much of food, 300 calories, she is telling this much of food. How many calories? Calorie count? This much. See, this much, this much, this much, this much, then 2/3. See how many contradictions, how many contradictory theories. And let us take all the theories together. Let us take one theory. Okay, this much. If I take this much of poha or rice, fried rice, I can take 3 of this. If I take some sweet, kheer, payasam, etc., I cannot take more than this. This is not a measure actually. Each food substance is different. Cake, for example, you can take this piece of a cake. Can you take one full bowl of a cake? It is not possible. So depending upon the nature of the food substance, your quantity should change, correct? This is the measure, or if this is the measure, what in this? Correct, you get my point? Some food in this measure can satisfy me. Some food in this measure will be too much for me. Some food in this measure is nothing for me. I need 10 times this. It depends upon the nature of the food. So I just discount all these theories. This, nothing is accepted. Correct? So what else can be a theory behind food? What does Ayurveda talk about? The quantity of food. No, that's about timing of the food. I'm talking about the quantity. Where should we stop? When you feel satisfied. I heard when we are full, and I also heard when we are satisfied. Is there a difference between these two? What is the difference? Perfect. Feeling satisfied and feeling full are two different things. How many of you have noticed it? Or how many of you have not noticed that there is a difference between satisfied and full? You have not noticed. You have not noticed what hunger is. You have not noticed what satisfaction is. You are an ideal candidate for an Ayurveda treatment. Okay. 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 And to touch this topic, I need to go one step back. I need to go backwards. The satisfaction is perceivable, or the satisfaction is observable only when you are connected with the food, only when we are mindful with the food. That is why we do prayers. Aham Vaishwanaro Bhutva Praninam Deham Ashrita. You chant this. Brahmarpanam Brahmahavir Brahmagnau Brahmana Hutam Brahmahaiva Tena Gantavyam Brahma Karma Samadhina. You all chant this before eating. Why do we chant this? This food is like an offering to my Agni. Who is this Agni? It is Lord Krishna himself. The food that I am offer is like a prasadam to the Lord himself. It is such an auspicious thing. We are mindful, we don't speak. Navadet, don't speak. Natishtet, don't stand. Don't socialize. It is like a yajna, it is like a puja that we offered the other day. Only when you eat with this mindfulness, you will understand what satisfaction is. If you remember your cinema, movie theaters, sitting and eating a popcorn, the popcorn tub, nowadays it is not tub, it is buckets. Buckets of popcorn, one bucket is full, you are still searching, you are engrossed in the movie, you don't even realize that you have finished a tub or a bucket. You are looking for another tub. You're not satisfied with whole tub of popcorn watching a movie because you are not connected with the food, you are connected with the movie. So when you are not connected with your food, when you are not mindful with your food, you cannot understand what satisfaction is. So the first step to understand what satisfaction is, you should have some mindfulness in this process. No TV, no mobile phone, no talking, no socialization. Ayurveda tells, sit with people whom you love. But it's not with socialization. You remember our grandparents will tell, don't talk, don't talk, don't talk. Not only in India. If any country you are from, your grandparents would have told you, don't talk while you are eating. Respect the food. That respect is something very essential. Only with that mindfulness, respect when you eat, you can understand what satisfaction is. Satisfaction and being full are two different things. Even after satisfaction, you can comfortably have one serving. But where should we stop? We should stop at satisfaction. What is this point of satisfaction? This satisfaction in Ayurveda explains that one can achieve satisfaction by filling 3/4 of your stomach. That is, you divide your stomach into 4, plus sign. One part is for solid food. Sorry, 2 parts are for solid food. 1 part is for liquid food. 1 part should be left free. Your stomach. So how do I understand it? Do I have a scanner? I always run around with a scanner. Okay, scanner, what is the reading? Okay, 3/4 full, 1/4 empty. Not possible, right? So what is the benchmark? Satisfaction is the benchmark. So when you have satisfaction as a benchmark, when you are 3/4 full, you feel satisfied, which means 1 quadrant is still empty. You understand? That 1 quadrant is still empty. Why is this 1 quadrant essential? This 1 quadrant is essential for the Vatadi dosha karma, which is the digestion, assimilation, movement of these doshas, Vata Pitta Kapha doshas. This digestion is possible only when you have that 1 quadrant free. When you fill up that 1 quadrant, your digestion is not going to be proper. Your one link is missing. You are accumulating ama. Your digestion process is not going to be good. You will not feel hungry. You will have, this is a vicious cycle. You are in a trap. You cannot come out of this vicious cycle easily. So what should I do? I should stop at 3/4. 3 quadrants full, 1 quadrant empty. This 3 quadrants, what are its components? What should be filled with 3 quadrants? 2 quadrants solid, 1 quadrant liquid. Those of you who told that if I drink water, it is going to dilute my digestive enzymes, I tell you that if you don't drink water, if you eat only solid food, you will not digest it. In fact, I can tell you, how many of you can give me an affirmation that if you eat a really solid food, for example, pizza here, the food that is not having any liquid content, if you eat it, stop at satisfaction, stop eating it at satisfaction. Within half an hour or 1 hour, you will have a strong demand of water. Have you experienced this? If you have eaten solid food, there will be a strong demand of water. Really thirsty, you will drink water. You are not satiated with water. You would all would have experienced this. But when you drink you eat a liquidy food, like a soup or something like a liquidy food, buttermilk or whatever it is, you don't feel that strong need of water. So the basic tenet of Ayurveda is our food should be snigdha, drava, ushna. The food should be warm. Food should be liquidy in nature. The more liquidy the food is, more beneficial it is. If the food is not liquidy, how do you compensate it? Water, as simple as that. If your food is liquidy in nature, if it is a porridge, no worries. Don't think about water. If the food is liquidy in nature, don't think about water. That's why you see all our food, sambar, rasam, buttermilk, all liquidy. The more liquidy, more beneficial. If it is not liquidy, if it is hard food, water is a mandate. You will have to take water, and hence, bhojane chamritam vari. Water along with the food is like a nectar. Now, does it make sense? Drinking food with water is beneficial to help this digestive process because you have a requirement of 1 quadrant water. If that 1 quadrant water is satisfied by the liquidy food, no worries. If you are not taking a liquidy food, water is a mandate. Can I substitute it with a cold juice, cold water? No, again, contributory factors for ama. So ideally, it can be room temperature water, warm water, very good, beneficial. We would tell, back in India, we would tell, except summers, you can take warm water throughout the day. This law is not applicable for you. You don't know what summers are. So I exempt you from this law. 365 days you can drink hot water, no worries. So water, bhojane chamridam vari, I think it makes sense to you. Now coming to this point, bhojanante vishapradam. Bhojanante, end of the meal, if you drink water, it is like a poison. Let's try to understand. How can this water that we drink at the end of the meal become a poison? Same logic. I have filled 3 quadrants of my stomach. I am satisfied. Okay? I did not drink water. I thought my food is watery. Somehow I went there. I took a bowl from this shop. I ate. I am 3/4 full. 3 quadrants full. I am satisfied. As per Ayurveda's description, I stop at 3/4 quadrants. Then I am drinking water. I feel a demand for water. I drink water. Where does this water go? Which quadrant? 4th quadrant. 4th quadrant is full. Will the digestion happen properly? The 4th quadrant empty, the requirement quadrant, 4th quadrant to be empty is not there. It's lost. We lost that requirement. So the digestion will not happen properly, and hence this is related to Vishapradam. So the logic here is, if you are going to fill up the 4th quadrant with water at the end of the meal, it is going to be harmful. So the common logic is that 1.5 hours I will not drink water. Someone will have food, 1.5 hours, is it 1.5 hours? Thirsty, really thirsty, 1.5 hours, waiting. It's not 1.5 hours yet. I'm not drinking water. Is it beneficial? It's again harmful, because the body needs that 1 quadrant water for its digestive process. If you have not supplied, you're not going to get the benefit of this complete process of digestion. You get the point? So these connection of dots, simple connection of dots, can make you hungry for every meal. Even after connecting all these dots, making these small tweaks, if you are not hungry for 3 meals, you are the ideal candidate to go in for a 2-meal plan. If you are in a 2-meal plan, and if you are very hungry, if you are unable to tolerate this 14 hours gap, 9 hours gap, then you are not an ideal candidate for this intermittent fasting. You can switch to this 3-meal plan. In winters, you might not be able to tolerate the 16:8 fasting. Winter is a time where one should not do any type of fasting. Instead, you should support all our festivals. Religious requirements will make us eat. All eating festivals are concentrated in winters. Winter, you cannot fast. Winter is not a period to fast. Spring is the best period to fast. Okay? Now, one more point I can make in for this connection of dots. We have mentioned about water requirement, timing of the food, feel hungry, etc. Common thing that we do is misconceptions. Fruit, uncooked vegetables, salads, fruits with food, uncooked vegetables with food, is it good or not? There is no universal answer, this is good and this is bad. It changes. It changes according to the season, region, it changes. In India, I would tell no salads in food at all. You cannot digest it. Our climatic condition is totally different. Here the climatic condition is different. You have an allowance of some salads, uncooked foods, but ideal tick mark is if it has any sweet predominant taste. It is perfectly fine. If it is not sweet predominant, then it's not a good option even in this climatic condition on a regular basis. If someone is having only raw food, this raw food culture is gone now. 5 years before, people were taking only raw food. Raw food, like people were mad. Eating raw food as though there is no tomorrow. People were eating raw food. That culture has changed now. So I need not emphasize too much, but there is something raw in our food, in our meal practice. That's fine. In this climatic condition where it is a cold predominant country, it is fine. But ideally, let it be sweet predominant raw food, like maybe it can be a cucumber or it can be carrots, beetroots, fine. If not, it should be definitely cooked. Raw green leafy vegetables, no. I do not know the properties of this regular celery. What is the common green leafy vegetable that you eat? Lettuce. And in Shastra, our understanding of properties is from the texts. I cannot assume the properties. We don't find these properties of these substances in our text, so we are a little handicapped there. I do not know the real properties of that substances, but a general tenet is that leafy vegetables, ideally not raw, cooked. But I also know that these leafy vegetables that you mentioned cannot be cooked. So it's a gray area for me. I don't want to touch the gray area. Okay? Because it's not my viewpoint, it is from the texts, from the Shastras. When it comes to fruit, 50% audience, if I ask a question, is raw food or raw fruits okay with the meal or not? I'm sure that 50% will tell yes, 50% will tell no. Let's try. Raw fruits with food. Correct or not? Correct. How many of you? Not correct. You should not eat raw fruits with food. How many of you? I would tell both are correct, both are wrong. We miss that small. That is the biggest problem. We are 90% correct. We miss this 10%. That is where we fail. That is where we get this setbacks. So what does Ayurveda talk about it? I told you Shadrasam Madhura Prayam. I told a few minutes before, I believe. No, I did not tell. Okay, yesterday. Talking to too many people, so which hall, which group, confused. Yesterday I was talking about Shadrasam Madhura Prayam. Predominant, our meal is, our balanced meal is all about tastes. 6 tastes with a predominance of sweet taste. Predominance of sweet taste contributed by old rice and old wheat. That's what I mentioned. Ayurveda also talks about the order of tastes that one can consume. Okay, there is a specific order in which you can consume food. That order itself can do some value addition in your digestive process. How interesting. You can just juggle your food, change the order in which you eat. You can make it more digestible, easy to digest, more beneficial. If you take it in a reverse order, it is harmful. You know, unfortunately, we are doing a blunder of some reverse order. Do you know what? Any idea? What is the commonest blunder that most of us here do in this order? Sweets. Sweet is the biggest blunder. Adau madhuram ashniyat. When should one take sweets? As a first thing, not before, as a first thing. If at all there is a sweet in the food, it should be the first thing. But what do? We keep it for the last. Why? Say you have one full bowl of food and 1 cup of a dessert. You can finish 1 full bowl of a food, then you can finish 1 cup of a dessert. Correct? You might even go for a seconds for the dessert. Think about the reverse. If you take 1 cup of a dessert in the beginning, you might not finish 1 bowl of the food. You might stop halfway through. Correct or not? You feel satiated. You cannot complete the full bowl of the food. You might even leave something. By changing the order, you can go for the seconds or you might leave. Correct or not? So we are tricking the body. The body will tell when to stop. Body will tell, no, I cannot handle more than this. Stop. You leave, you waste the food. But we change the order, we trick the body, take the harmful effects. Ado maduram ashniyat. If at all there is a sweet in the food, take it as a first thing in the first part of the meal. First part of the meal is madura amla lavana. That is, people from South India, if I can give live examples, but mixed cultures I cannot give examples and I don't have time as well. So first part of the meal is madura amla lavana, which is sweet, salty, sour. Then slowly comes bitter. Then slowly the end bitter, spicy, and end is astringent. The astringent taste is supported by the buttermilk that we drink. Our last part of the meal is with buttermilk usually. First part of the meal is rice with bland dal. If at all there is a sweet, if you go to any Indian festivals, in a banana leaf you will be served sweet first. Only after that you will be served with anything else. We take the sweet, leave it aside. Let me take in the end. That is the problem that we do. So, Adau Maduram Ashniyat, start the meal with the sweet. It is going to regulate the way in which your digestion, the Kapha, Pitta, Vata, this order of digestion is going to be activated. You are going to help the digestive process. Instead, you reverse. You take the sweet to the end, where Vata needs to be activated. Suddenly, Kapha comes into picture. What am I doing here? It's an internal clash. It's all stuck. What should I do? It's all stuck. So simple support, extinguishing the digestive fire, the Agni I told you, this is one important thing. Never take a dessert in the beginning. Take it as a first thing. So okay, Adau Maduram Ashniyat. Then what else? Adau Phalani Bunjita. If at all you are taking fruits, Phalani, fruits, Adau in the beginning. What type of fruits? You cannot take any type of fruit in the beginning. Shastra is very specific. After telling Ado Phalani Bunjita, it is giving list of examples. The Shastra we find list of examples. Amra, mango, panasa, jackfruits, lotus stem. These are the examples that we find. Lotus stem, mango, jackfruit, bananas, all sweet predominant. So if you are taking a sweet predominant fruit, the Shastra gives you an allowance to take it along as a first thing as the first part of the meal. Then you continue rest. Yes. Other than this, ideally mixing a sour fruit in the middle of the meal, no. So if it is a sweet dominant fruit, you have an allowance to take with food, with the meal. If not, ideally avoid. It can be a meal by itself. Fruit can be a meal by itself. Is this making sense? These are small changes, but I'm not just giving you this information. This is behind this logic and reasoning. Okay? We'll be covering little more connection of dots. Might happen in the subsequent session tomorrow. So I have 10 minutes if you have any questions, or if you did not agree with my points, we are open for discussion. Yes, please. Yeah. Yes. 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 This concept of use by is actually not applicable in real sense. For example, let me talk about our medicine. There is a medicine called Arishtam. Arishtam is a self-generated alcohol. We have around 200-300 varieties of Arishtams. Abhaya Arishtam, Dasamula Arishtam, you might be knowing this Arishtams. The more older it is, the more beneficial, more potent it is. So, these Arishtams also come with an expiry date. So, when we go and buy these Arishtams for our family, we'll ask, please give me the most expired, the long, which has expired very long, please give it. It is more beneficial. So rice, dal, etc. actually they don't have a use by date. This use by date is kind of a government mandates many a times. So there are certain things which are beneficial when it has crossed use by dates. Many Ayurveda medicines also come with a use by date. But we'll tell absolutely no problem, you can consume it after use by date. Some are beneficial consuming after use by date, such as dals, etc. And if you see people who follow strict acharam in the family, there will be a place where they store this rice, dal, pickles. A lady who's menstruating is not allowed to touch the vessel that is dedicated for rice, dal, jaggery, pickles. Those which are supposed to be kept for a longer period, it will be stored in a very nice condition where there is no moisture, etc., etc. And we have techniques of adding some neem leaves, some red chilies into the packets. We have all techniques doing this. Traditionally, we have been doing this way.
So intermittent fasting is not necessarily good. I should just follow my body's rhythm, eat only when I'm hungry, have the 3/4 full meal every time.
Yes.
And that intermittent will just be natural space between each meal, depending on my agni.
Exactly.
Okay.
But if someone is just taking this, okay, I will follow my rhythm and follow this, and you forget all the other paraphernalias around, you might be wrong.
Yeah.
You should connect these dots. This paraphernalia should be addressed. Am I eating sweet in the beginning? Am I eating 3 meals? Am I hungry for every meal? What is my water intake? What are the small aspects? After touching all these aspects, how you feel, then following the rhythm makes sense. Without being into this line, trying to understand your rhythm, when you don't have a rhythm, how can you understand your rhythm? So create a rhythm by following all the small paraphernalias that we have discussed. Then follow your rhythm, and your rhythm need not be a rhythm for 365 days. Your rhythm might be different in winters, might be different in spring. Such a huge change happens between winter and spring. A huge change happens in the nature, huge change happens inside your body. So these changes, that's why in the yesterday's session I was telling, Ayurveda is nothing but connecting you with the nature. Our ancestors could easily connect with the nature, and they could follow Ayurveda to the T without knowing what is the spelling of Ayurveda. They did not know what Ayurveda is. Your grandparent, her grandparent, everyone followed Ayurveda. Ayurveda is not a subject matter of India. Ayurveda is about localization. It's not about globalization. Your grandfather cannot even pronounce Ayurveda, but he could have followed Ayurveda. He has definitely followed Ayurveda because he was connected with nature. We lost this connection, and we need some support systems. And hence we are taking help with Ayurveda. And if you have some connection with, many a time nowadays children don't know where we get garlic from. One of our patients mentioned, his grandson asked, which plant gives milk? Children of this age assume that milk is from a tree. They don't know milk is from a cow. That is the age we are in. So the answer is, just don't take rhythm into consideration, because you might not be in a proper rhythm now. Somewhere, making some small changes in the food, making some small changes in the lifestyle practice, which can be simple, which is not a rocket science. If you are convinced to follow something, okay, I'm convinced to follow, I'm completely agreeing, I have this shraddha to this, then it's not a big task. We can give you some certain practice to follow. But when you are inquisitive, okay, why I am doing this, why I am not doing this, when you need to understand the logic, and if you need explanations and logics and theories to understand and then do, it's a long process. You need to dedicate some time. We have 5 minutes.
Okay.
3 more questions maybe.
For people that suffer with diabetes through eating too much carbohydrates, obviously rice and all the other vegetables, I don't know whether it's a myth, but I've noticed myself by eating protein first and then eating carbohydrates last, it seems to be better for the gut.
Be bad for the gut?
No, it seems to have improved.
Improved, okay.
It seems to be better. Is that the right thing for people that suffer with diabetes to do that?
Okay.
Because it is something that's very big in our culture.
Okay. To start with, to give you an answer, to the first part of the answer, I would tell, first thing is, let us not see food as carbohydrates and proteins, which is the first point I mentioned. Second, I would like to tell you a common thing that happens in our place. There are a lot of people who have been to a place for treatments. Diabetes people coming with insulin on medications for diabetes. We are South Indians, we cannot help, but we need food. We don't know to prepare any item without rice. We know only rice. We don't know to prepare anything without rice. So you cannot, we need all 3 meals, there will be rice. These people with diabetes, when they come for treatments, there will be rice, all 3 meals, no doubt about it. There will be sugars, herbal teas and things. Sometimes we give sweet items also. With ragi, we give puttu and all this. They all love those items. And they will be noticing their sugar levels comes down. They will be reducing their insulin values. The insulin injection dosage will be reduced. People will reduce their tablets while they are there. They will ask, what is the magic? How is it reducing? I do walking in my place. I do 0 sugars, no carbs, but I am on insulin. Here I am taking all this sugar, no physical activity. How is this happening? We funnily explain. On a lighter note, we tell them it is because of the rice, your sugar value is coming down. It's a funny note, but the real reason behind the sugar level coming down is not with rice or without rice. Covering all the aspects, bringing the holism there. That holism makes a change, but changing this protein, first point, breaking this food into protein carbohydrate is not a good idea. But on a real day scenario, because you are listening to me for 1 hour, you have to go and continue your life forever. So direct answer to your question, definitely not a good idea to start with proteins. Definitely not a good idea. You might feel temporal because your thought process is, I want my sugar level to be normal now or tomorrow morning, or my next HbA1c should be correct. You want to reduce your next HbA1c, or you want your tomorrow morning's value to be normal. Your expectation is wrong. If your expectation is, how can I get healthier overall in an organic way, then this is a wrong idea. Change, of course, as I told you, I cannot give just a small change flip and I'll be gone, you'll be struggling. So there are a lot of small aspects to be considered. Let's see, the whole intention of this 3 days is to empower you to do this. I don't want to give you a suggestion, okay, do this, do that. I give you a baseline. You are empowered to decide whether it is correct or not. At least if you are not empowered to do what is correct or not, if you have 10, you can zero down to 3. Now you are confused with 10. If I can give you, instead of making you confused with 10, if I make it more concise, if I make your choice from 10 to 2, you are a little bit safe. Your probabilities, you are better off. Yes, please.
Recognizing that we don't have much time. So you spoke about like localization of what you're going to eat. I've heard a few times about genetics and about how this plays quite a big part in what foods you're able to sort of process and whatnot. Can you just speak real brief to this about say for example some of us come from a background where like rice isn't staple.
Yeah.
So can we go there? Can we
Yes.
utilize this?
This is a topic that I've reserved for tomorrow, but still giving you an answer to this question. When I mentioned Ayurveda is about localization, not globalization, I've already answered your question. Because localization is about you and your connection to nature. It involves genetics. where your ancestors were, how were their genetical makeups decides what your genetical makeup is. It talks about Prakriti. It talks about your connection with nature. And someone from India was asking me a question. I have turned vegetarian. I'm starving. I'm having a deficiency of vitamin B12. What should I do? Someone asked today, one of the volunteers. I told you, unfortunately, you are in this country. Turning, not criticizing in a nice way. I told, unfortunately, unfortunately, you are in this country. You are not qualified enough to be a vegetarian in this country. You are stuck. So there are only two options. Either you have to make up your mind, get into some kind of non-vegetarian food, at least with egg or something. If not, rely on supplements. If you were in India, I would not suggest this. Because you are stuck here, you have no other options. It was the answer that I gave to her. The same is the case for you. I cannot give my suggestions to you because I come from a different place, you are in a different place. That is why I've answered your question. It is about localization, not globalization. If I'm going to give my thoughts to you, it is globalization. I'm telling, I'm not giving any thoughts. I'm just giving you a baseline. You are, unfortunately, even if you wish to be a vegetarian, you cannot be a vegetarian. If you become a vegetarian, you need an extra support system. You need to be focusing on something. Last, worst come worst scenario, you need to have at least supplements. So, in this country, being a complete vegetarian is not practically possible. Being a vegan is a blunder. It's a blunder, no doubts about it. And I always have people following this vegan practice bombarding with their logics and theories. And I love to contradict, I love to debate. Unfortunately, we don't have time. Maybe if there is something, yes, we are open for discussions and debates tomorrow also. Maybe I'll conclude with this. Yes.
You just mentioned that in this country you cannot be a vegetarian. So I'm a strict vegetarian. I've never even touched an egg. I'm not a vegan. But I don't eat egg, fish or meat, and I've never taken any supplements. And I still work 24/7, all active. So I don't know how's that. I mean, is that something wrong? As I don't eat meat, egg, anything.
See, yes, in the last session, I was giving my mother's example. My mother is 71. When I did a blood investigation, I was so worried because we see patients, non-vegetarians, hardcore non-vegetarians who eat 2 times a day non-vegetarian, they come with B12 deficiency. That is the only source for B12. They are having B12 deficiency. I was so concerned about until evening I was thinking what will be the value, how do I was not happy for the supplements and all, what is the I was already thinking about my mother's B12 value. Her B12 value is 404. She has never touched meat in her life, 404. My son's value is less than my mother's value. B12 value was less than my mother's value. How did she get her B12 supplements without touching meat? She could metabolize everything. And milk, yogurt, buttermilk, these are ghee, these are part and parcel that can satisfy this. Here I would tell cheese, ghee and things, if that is supporting you enough. If elephant can get everything from the branch and leaves, you can as well get everything from the normal food that you eat, provided your digestive system is good enough. But in the current day scenario, in the current age, 90% of the digestive system, they claim to have many times people who come for consultation and treatment that I am pretty much healthy. I come for a maintenance treatment. We get into the details, they'll have such hell of problems. But they feel that they are healthy. So, digestive system, 90% of the people have issues with the digestive system. But there are always, as I told you, there are always exceptions.
Because I get my blood tests and everything done and it's all fine. So by the grace of God, till date, I've never had any cholesterol, sugar, no deficiencies. Till date, it's okay. So I don't know about future, but I'm okay till date. So yeah, that's what I wanted to ask. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a fantastic talk.
Thank you.
Very nice.
Let's finish with a simple prayer. Let's sit erect for a simple conclusion prayer. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you all.